Hello everybody and welcome to the Budget of Sigmar Final Army Review. Very excited about this. Obviously this represents the culmination of months of work by a lot of great people. Not everybody got their armies totally finished. I included everybody who posted up a final image here. I know there's still somebody else working, and I think that's awesome. The reality is it's about the journey, not necessarily about hitting the number. You know, we set these numbers so that we'd have a goal to work toward, but of course the effort, getting those models painted, that's what matters. In the end, we had 13 complete armies done in the 6 months, which I thought was fantastic. So 13 successful budgeteers. So I'm going to go through, kind of show each army off, talk a little about it. And in this video, links down below, you will find a poll. I'll also put a post up in the PMP that has the, and probably on the YouTubers, that allows people to vote. And we will go from there. Okay? All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we start off with the most unusual force. So this is Chris Smith, and I've just called it the Combined Forces. Chris described it like he's really living the Age of Sigmar spirit here. Just any model in the storm. Whatever you've got, you can use on the table, and Chris is living it and loving it, and it's great. So obviously this is the big sort of flashy models on parade. We've got big old Papa Nagash hanging out in the back, Neferata on her little kitty cat dragon, the High Elf Lord on dragon. We've got some of the Chaos and Stormcast heroes from the box set. So you got the Korgorath and the Bloodstoker and Korgus Cole with his little doggy, and then the Lord Celestant on Dracoth. And then, of course, we can't forget over on the back right, we've got the Coven Throne, which thumbs up, Chris. Way to model it with the Coven Throne. I've such a better model than the Mortis engine, so full thumbs up to you. And then finally, right in the middle is this beautiful Flame Phoenix, which I think he did an excellent job with. Wonderful fire effects there. Really looks great. So Chris obviously has, he sort of kind of took a more, rough and ready approach to it. And as I said, there's nothing about this that isn't completely viable in Age of Sigmar. So I say more power to you. He's following his bliss and painting and enjoying the models he likes and wants to have on the table, and that's fantastic. All right, let's look at next. All right, next up, David Griffin with the Free People. Now, I've seen this army in person. I met David at Adepticon. Very cool guy. I think he ended up getting first place overall with this very army. So, I mean, hey, thumbs up, man. Way to go. We've already seen it in action. So, obviously, this is a wonderful combination of the Empire and Bretonnia, sort of the newly combined Free Peoples. We've got some Damsels, some Empire Wizards. We've got his wonderful conversion on his Celestial Huracanum, where he's got the Dracoth pulling it, which I totally love. His great Lord on Hippogriff there, which is, or Empire General on Griffin. I suppose you can use it for either, really. There in the dead center. Got some Knights in the back, who can be Questing Knights or Grail Knights or whatever they need to be. And then, of course, some Bowmen, another Lord on Peg, and then some just regular Peg Knights. This picture really doesn't do David's force justice. You gotta get some better pictures, Dave, because your stuff looks great. I saw it in person. Obviously, it plays well, too. So this is just fantastic. I love seeing all these models together. They feel right to me, and I love it, man. That's great. Bretonnia riding on. All right, Drunken Deer with Destruction. Obviously, he went for a high sort of pseudo-monstrous infantry count. The man has more trolls than I think anybody in the universe. So you can see he's got a whole bunch, and he just went for all the different varieties, including the Lord of the Rings trolls, who realistically could also be giants, frankly. They're big enough to be small giants. They're about the size of the old, like the old school Warhammer giants. So then we've got also some orcs, and the river trolls, the stone trolls. We got a lot of great stuff here. So obviously, you know, this is the Wa ready to be called and head out and have a great time just punching people in the face, and that's what it's all about for the Forces of Destruction. Great job, Deer. You can't see it in these pictures, but I would definitely go recommend to look at his post. I'll try to link to these posts. I'm not sure if I can do that or not, but I'll give it a shot. That is to say, like in the survey, because you need to look at some of his fun conversions with like the Lord of the Rings troll who actually has a big fork holding the human there, which I absolutely love. That's very Bert, Tom, and Bill. They'd of course be trying to cook him up. All right, Hooves of Doom with his Wood Elves, his now sort of combined, you know, maybe Wanderer force or whatever. Nice mix here of sort of the Way Watchers on the left. He's got some Glade Guard in the back. Big group of Glade Guard on both sides in the back. His wonderfully painted Durthu, which I still think he did a great job with. And, you know, the fun thing about that is he actually just followed, as he said, he followed Duncan's painting guide for that. And so, you know, I would say if you're painting up a Durthu or a Tree Man, you know, go check out those Games Workshop painting guides. He followed it, and the results are great. Hooves, it looks fantastic. This whole army was obviously a big growing opportunity for him, as he talked about. It was a fun chance to learn new styles, to work in some fun colors, and I think it looks really great how it all came together. So just very well done. I don't know if the woods are part of it, but probably, because Durthu can summon woods, so those are probably in it too. So why not some trees? All right, James Wilson, who not only gave us the army, but even the original boxes they came in, and I love the backdrop here, James. This is great. We're in like the professional photography studio here with the gray backdrop. So this is the Iron Warriors, right? He went for the Iron Warrior scheme. The metallic and gold with very little color, just the sort of deep crimson red. And, you know, James, one of the things that I knew was that James worked on throughout this was his freehand. You know, he had originally thrown up some banners, and one of the pieces of feedback I said was, you know what, try some freehand, you can do it. And I sort of did a video on how to do simple freehand. He did it, and I think this is exactly the example of why you want that freehand. Because when you look at this from a distance, you know, look at this picture. You can see that freehand. Look how much it makes each of those banners pop to have the Chaos Star or the Cross or whatever on each of those banners, right? It really makes it stand out. And this whole force is great. I love the small red accents. There's not a lot of it. Very sort of monotone, but in a great way. And the red obviously ties in well because it's got the brown tones in it, so it ties in there well with the golds and things like that. He's also got a really nice sort of wasteland basing scheme that I very much enjoy. All right, next up. All right, Jason Yarborough, who started a little late, but was still certainly had a nice contribution. He's got a big old Flesheater court army here. Huge number of ghouls, big crypt ghouls. He's got a couple of the big Var Gulf. I always say the wrong one, but I think these are the big ones, so these are the Var Gulfs. Very nice, very earthy force. He did a great job of just working in some minor blood tones and red tones here and there, but for the most part having them look like that sort of dirty, worn flesh, right? As though these guys have just been scrounging around, crawling through corpses and digging in the dirt all day, which is fantastic. I love it. Way to go, Jason. All right, Matthew John Goodacre, who I butcher his name every time, but he didn't quite get everything done that he wanted, but, you know, he got so much done he didn't quite hit the 100 wounds, but that's okay. A couple people didn't, and I wasn't about to not include this, being that, as we all know, I'm not a huge fan of Nurgle, but Matt really knocked this out of the park. He did a great job with this. His Nurgle force really carries through the scheme. He worked in a lot of tonal variation in his greens and his browns, kept it really wonderfully earthy and dirty without just being, you know, messy. Like, it's to do, I say all the time, to do truly, like, dirty, diseased, or kind of filthy armies is actually way harder than just, it's not just slopping paint around. You have to be very targeted with it. And Matt does exactly that here. You look at, like, the rusting effects and the wear and the oxidation and all the little touches he put on the various metallics and things like that throughout the army. It's great. He's also got some wonderful small, you know, conversions in here with stuff like his Chaos Spawn and his Nurglite Sorcerer and things like that. So it's just really a fantastic force. I mean, I find it absolutely gross, but that's my own personal preference. Even I can see the artistic merit here because he did just a great job. So very, very, very well done, Matt. Love seeing what you got done here. And as I said, I think originally in one of the posts where you talked about it, yeah, you might not have gotten the whole wound count, but this is more than enough to play a great game of Age of Sigmar with. You got a great force on your hands. All right, Rasmus. So Rasmus did a really fun force here because this is a lot of different conversions and older models and different things from different ranges. And this is his Death Cult of Ulric. So he's got obviously the big Wolf Riders standing in for, I think those are his Demigryphs. And he's got the Flagellants out there rocking and rolling, the old school Flagellants. He's got the Ulric big Hammer Knights. Just a really fun force with a lot of different color in it. And just a great example of like converting an entire army around a theme. And I love his big centerpiece model there. I think that's great. Converted out of the 40K. I don't remember the guy's name, but I don't know 40K models well enough. But obviously from the Space Wolves, sort of their lord guy or whatever who rides the chariot around. I'm going to call him Santa Claus. Yeah, because why not? He's got a beard. He rides a sleigh. There you go. All right, Scott R. with his combined Elves. Wonderful force and a great example of how well you can make all the different Elven factions and even different ranges and different time periods fit together. I mean, just look at this. So, way in the back we've got the Black Dragon from the Dark Elf line, and then on the other side we've got the High Elf Lord on Griffin. Very contrasting, how he did one in sort of the deep blue and one in the much brighter. And yet somehow, because he's using those blues all throughout, everything ties together with just a little bit of tonal variation to set it aside. He's got the newer Cauldron of Blood, but then the old school Witch Elves. He's got the standalone Medusa, which I love. Always love that model. So happy to see it in here. He's got the sisters, the old handmaidens type of model there. He's got the old school handmaidens in the back, and then the new sister archers up front. I love all of those. Great conversion there. And then obviously he's also got the Sisters of Slaughter and the Sisters of the Thorn. Really, this is like the Sisters Army. That's I should have called this Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves. Such a miss. All right, well, think about that in your head. Yeah. I don't think I even realized literally before I walked through the units how many different sisters he has in this army. It's great. Absolutely great, Scott. I love it. Okay. Next up, Stu Gibson with the Khornite Chaos Warriors. Stu has a lot of fun Khorn people here. Got Scar Bloodwrath right up front, obviously the Reavers and a bunch of Blood Warriors and Knights and such. I'll tell you right now, though, my favorite model in Stu's army has to be his big old Chaos Giant he converted back in the back there. You can see that he got rid of the big silly helm, head, and put a Chaos Helm on him, which I love. He Chaos Armored him up, which looks great. All in all, Stu did a fantastic job with some conversions, some great freehand and converting on that Lord, holding the big flesh banner. Absolutely wonderful. You really feel the Khorn theme come through here, and I think that's fantastic. So Stu, just a great job as a fellow Khorn fan. I love what you did here. All right, next up, my co-host from Warhammer Weekly. It's Tom, and he did his dwarves. This is a huge force he put together. And what's funny about it is this is still only a very small portion, or not small portion, but I shouldn't say that. It's not everything he had and had it as his goal. I think he only got through his targeted models for February, but obviously he still more than hit the number. He had just gotten a huge lot of dwarves at a very good price, so kudos to Tom. And he did an amazing job with this force. I do highly recommend you look at it. There's so much great detail in here with his warriors. He used great colors with like the green on some of the Longbeards or Ironbreakers. All dwarves, I get them kind of mixed up, so I apologize, Tom. I'm not trying to screw up your forces intentionally. But like things like his Anvil of Doom with his highlighted runes just came out really, really well. His gyrocopters look fantastic back in the back. So this is a nice big force, certainly more than enough to play a sizable game of AOS, and really an army to be very proud of. Tom has a lot of different armies that are in gray plastic. The Scourge of gray plastic is strong at Tom's house, so I'm definitely glad to see how much progress he made through this, and how much of his finished force he got painted. Alright, next up. Victor. Victor with this unbelievably beautiful Stormcast army. He's worked on it so diligently for months. It's just, I mean, to be honest, I love it. It's a masterpiece. His basing work is incredible. All the sort of rust oxides and pigments and stuff he works in there. The bright green mint color that I would have never thought would have worked with the purple, which I initially even told him I wasn't sure about. I take it all back, Victor. I should have trusted you. It looks great. All of this came together so well. It's a big, beautiful force with a lot of characters and character. And Victor, I think that I really, obviously I have nothing. If you watch the PMP reviews every month, it's basically us saying, yep, Victor did another amazing unit. You know, we never have anything bad to say because Victor's truly an artist in the community and he just does unbelievable work. And if you have any questions or you like this army, don't forget, Victor has a huge painting series that he's kept up on every week where he shows you all the techniques he used to do this army. So definitely go check out his videos and learn from a real master, a real pro. Okay? All right, and then finally, myself with my Warriors of Tzeentch. This was a smaller portion of what I put together. I just found myself addicted to doing this army. I very much liked how it came out. It was a lot of fun to do the bases, to do the conversions, to work with these colors. I just loved this blue. I fell in love with it from the first test model I did. And so I loved putting together this army. It has so many of the models that I really love. The cockatrices and the converted cockatrice, the slaughter brute, the big demon prince with wings, the manticore. I'll be completely honest, I love chaos monsters. Chaos warriors and knights, don't get me wrong, they look really cool. They have a lot of character, but I love chaos monsters. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for them. I just think they have such a neat look, and you can mess around and play with such bright colors because, hey, it's chaos. Why not? So, there you go. That brings us to the end. By the way, I'm not trying to end on myself. That went completely alphabetical by submitter, just so we're clear, by like first name, because that's how the Windows folder sorted it when I brought it in. But excellent work, all the budgeteers. Everybody did fantastic. Thank you to everybody who submitted. Thank you to everybody who followed along, who gave encouragement and feedback. This community continues to be amazing, and it's just a total inspiration. When I looked at what everybody did, it kept me painting, it kept me dedicated, and I'm really grateful to everybody for that. And of course now, we've just started our Spring Skirmish Challenge. I will link to that new video down below, so if you're curious about our next painting challenge, that's a smaller 2-month competition. It's the Spring Skirmish Challenge. We'd love to have you join us. So with that, I'll bring this one to a close, say thank you very much, and don't forget to go vote in the poll. There'll be lots of fun categories you can vote on for all the wonderful armies you saw here today. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time. One more quick army note here. So Jace reached out to me and mentioned that I forgot his army. Jace, I am very sorry. I somehow skipped over it. I don't know how. I apologize. So hence why I'm doing this and putting it on the end. So it's a little late, but I'll make sure to make up for it in the final video in a week, Jace. So first off, I apologize. That out of the way, Jace did a fantastic job here on his ogres. Nice big force. These guys are really perfect for something like the Budget of Sigmar. It's what's always been appealing about the ogres, right? You get a lower model count, you get to spend more time, they're bigger, they're fun to model and hobby, you can do cool conversions with them, just all that kind of stuff. They're a bigger palette to work with. I think that a lot of what you see in the ogres is how a lot of new models are getting made. And he did a great job with them here. So he's obviously got nice big sizable force between some bulls, some iron guts, got the characters up front. He's got a big iron blaster, the Mournfang, right? And then I think that's his scrap launcher over there on the far right side, which I always love to see. And then a small little unit of Noblar trappers, I would think. So really great Ogres, Jace. I especially like the work you did on your Firebelly. Like, his fire effect, I think, is really fun, because he went and he has, like, the fire, and then he's got the smoke rolling out, and I like the way he has some darks and lights in that smoke. It's a good transition. I see some people who do the whole thing as fire or the whole thing as smoke, but I think mixing it like that actually makes it look really good. The other thing I would point out with his is that he's got a very nice minimal blood effect on that butcher. Like, it's there, it looks good, looks like he wiped his hand across his chest. It's pretty great. Love it. That's exactly the way I like to see blood effects. So, well done. I'll make sure he gets added into the survey, so there we go, okay? And I do apologize. Thanks, everybody.